Hi guys, hope you're having a good weekend. Here in Brighton at least it is fairly sunny, blustery but warm, and that's nice.
And you're back for a month.
And I'm back for a month from university in Southampton, so no longer do I have to go back and forth, which is a nice,
For me.
a nice thing for both of us. So what we're going to talk about today is obviously the aftermath of Charlotte's passing, because we're both keen to kind of give an insight into the actual process of what happens when someone, especially of Charlotte's age, who obviously wasn't old enough to necessarily take care of her own finances, phone bills, things which seem quite inconsequential really, in the grand scheme of things, can actually be very problematic. If you look at Facebook pages of people who are deceased, I've heard that they're very difficult to manage because you've got to then prove to Facebook that that person is now no longer able to activate that page, etc. So we obviously heard that Charlotte had passed, and you had the very unenviable task of having to clear out her stuff.
Well, before that, I think Charlotte passed on Wednesday. We did the announcement over YouTube on Thursday and blown away by the response that we had from that. Friday was a really horrible day because I had to go to the funeral directors and I actually had to pick out an outfit for her to be cremated in, so it wasn't like picking out a wedding dress. This was something else altogether. And I chose the clothes that I wanted, and the shoes, in fact, that went with her were ones which she'd wanted to wear for her 19th birthday, so I thought it only fitting that they went with her. And Miles had given her his beloved teddy bear Marmalade, who Charlotte had cuddled for about 2 or 3 months beforehand, and given her a lot of comfort. And when she was in year 6, she did a taster at secondary school, and the matron there, who is a very, very firm family friend, gave her a tiny little hedgehog and said, "You always keep that in your bag, and if you get frightened or whatever, look at the hedgehog." And anyway, the hedgehog went with her as well. And the last thing that she ever bought was in the January, and she bought herself some Chanel powder, and it was quite expensive, and it was never used, and I never wanted anybody to use it, not even myself, and that actually went with her. I thought maybe some makeup would be quite nice. And then the worst task, I think, after that was Miles helped me throughout the whole process. We then had to clear her room, and that was nothing other than horrendous to do, because it was going through everything. It was going through all her life's belongings, and there was a lot of it, wasn't there? And her makeup I gave to her friend Emily Fashionista, a huge box of it, because I knew that it would be looked after there. And you had kept a few things, didn't you? A few mementos.
Yep, yep.
And I think that was one of the hardest things that I think I've ever had to do. And the aftermath is, Miles only said to me an hour ago, he said, "You know, I'm never going to be an uncle." And I think you found it's been tough. Suddenly you're an only child, and you know, they were very, very good friends, Miles and Charlotte, and knocked around together a lot and laughed. Well, she was a good friend of yours, wasn't she? And so,
Obviously.
yeah, I think that you found very difficult. I mean, from a sibling's point of view, it's
Well,
very
yeah,
difficult.
especially when you're an only child, because that's what I am now. So obviously that's quite a big shift in the dynamics of home life and all walks of life, because clearly you don't have that connection anymore. And you know, when Charlotte died, I suppose half of me died as well, because that was obviously going to be my
Your
nieces
future.
and nephews and everything else. So that's something that I don't have anymore, but it's also something that spurs me on to obviously want to achieve the best I can with my own academic life and personal life, and obviously with the life of the charity, which is going from strength to strength, thankfully. And I think it's difficult to gauge what glioblastoma is within a kind of public sphere, because although it's not very well heard of, I mean, it's not the immediate thing you think of when you think about cancer, obviously, but I think most people would be quite surprised if you sat down with 5 or 6 people in a room, as we have on more than one occasion, and people will suddenly say, "Oh, my dad friend died of that, my granddad died of that," and actually it's a far more ubiquitous cancer than people realise. Obviously, it being the most aggressive form of cancer that begins in the brain. So obviously, Charlotte's departure pushes us on to try and make sure that that kind of thing happens less and less, and hopefully one day brain cancer will be as easy and as commonplace to treat as the cancers which are being treated at the moment. I mean, that's our hope, clearly.
And as we've said before, we take nothing for ourselves. We completely self-fund. We pay our own train fares. People have been very generous, and when we've asked people for things, unfortunately we've been given quite a lot. And I've got a lot of charity boxes around our local area, and they've been doing really well. Even our little local shop that's collected £75 through, over 3 collections. And I would just like to mention John, who works for the NHS, and he very kindly donated his shift money. I think it was on Monday it was, and it was £75, and we're indebted to that because he worked really hard to get that £75 and donations from other staff, and to give that to us, we were very, very pleased with it. It means an awful lot. I would like to thank everybody again for the Facebook page. I did put up a status last week, and I was incredibly proud that it got shared 230 times, and it means an awful lot, because the power of media, as we all know, is great, and that's what I'm just trying to get across. I'm just so keen not to have let Charlotte's life, her death, her passing, just go, because she cared passionately about informing people of living with glioblastoma, and we both, and Cressida, care passionately about bringing this charity forward, so hopefully we'll get there. And on the 21st of April there will be a substantial announcement which we're looking forward to. I'm sorry, because I know it was supposed to be February and it's now April, but we will get something out there.
We will, yes, a good big thing.
Yeah.
So hold on, and we will reveal all.
Anyway, we look forward, possibly one next week, but we'll definitely do one every 2 weeks. If things come up in between, then we will sort of do an intermediate one. Thank you for watching.
Bye bye.
Bye.